Imagine you're 10 years old. The phone rings at home on your landline and you pick it up. It's a man. He tells you that your mom is getting a promotion at work and that everybody is so happy for her and that he wants to pick her out the perfect present, but he does not know what to get her. So he was calling you to ask you what you think that your mom would love. And would you possibly meet him at the store so that you guys can pick out the gift together? Because he knows that the gift will be something that your mom will love, as long as you're there to pick it out. And you love your mom so much that of course you agree to meet this man. He works with your mom. He knows her name. He knows your name. He knows, that your mom's getting a promotion. Everything seems fine, right? It's going to be a big, huge surprise for her. And you're so excited. And then nobody ever hears from you again. Hey guys, it's Diana. Welcome back to the Mad Chatter podcast. Today I'm going to be talking to you guys about a case that is very close to home for me. It is maybe, 16 minutes from my house and in an area that I actually work in every day for work. And it is Bay Village, Ohio. Now, we are going to the case of Amy Mihaljevic, little 10-year-old Amy Mihaljevic that went missing on October 27th, 1989, and has never been heard from again. Now, in 1989, I was 8 years old, and I vaguely remember my mother talking about this case. I remember hearing about her. I remember the shock, because Bay Village is a nice freaking area. I mean, when you drive down Lake Road, like in Bay Village or anywhere in Bay Village, this is what you'll see. Happy people smiling, walking their dogs, jogging down the street, walking with their families. Everybody's smiling, like everybody's just out and about. It's literally like Mayberry or somewhere like that. Like, you would not think anything like this would ever happen. And I don't think anything like this has ever happened since or before. So that just goes to show you how safe Bay Village is thought to be. I mean, this is a place that people that play for sports in Cleveland, they buy their houses or they rent their houses while they're here playing for Cleveland, like the Cavs and the Browns and stuff. They rent houses in Bay Village. And I drive through there all the time. I have clients that live in Bay Village. So even to this day, it's just crazy to think that, a little girl was kidnapped and murdered from here. I don't know. It still messes with me. So, okay, let's go to the beginning. Amy lived with her mom, Margaret, her dad, Mark, and her brother, Jason. They said that Amy loved horses and she actually took riding lessons at a place called Holly Hills, which I know of this place. I also drive past that place every day. It's a beautiful horse stable. And I actually think that they just closed down 2026. But Amy loved horses. And actually, on the day that she went missing, she had turquoise horse head earrings in, and those were never found, by the way, which I'm assuming, and I'm sure a lot of investigators also assume, that whoever kidnapped and murdered her kept those as a souvenir because he's a fucking sicko. But anyways, Amy and her family also had a family dog named Jake, and they also love to visit the Lake Erie Nature and Science Center, which, by the way, I also love to go there because they have crows and I love crows. And I also love nature parks, but I digress. Remember the Nature and Science Center, though, because it's actually a really important part of this case, and I'm going to be talking more about it later. But okay. The morning that Amy went missing, she tells her mom that she has choir tryouts after school, so she's not going to be walking home with her brother Jason. And her mom is like, okay, just make sure that you call me when you get home, because Margaret worked at the Trading Times in Westlake, so she wasn't able to be there when her kids got home from school. So every day she would have them call her at work, just to make sure that they got in and they were fine and everything else. So, she's like, call me when you get in, blah, blah, blah. And Amy's like, okay. So she goes to school, and after school, her and a couple of her friends walk to the Bay Village shopping center. And this is not a huge shopping center at all. I don't know, there may have been 10 to 12 stores in there. And I mean like not big stores, like little stores. Like right now in the plaza, there's like a Walgreens, there's a Chinese place, there's a vitamin store. It's like things like that. There's like a wine store on the other side. So it's not like a plaza or anything major like that. I'll make sure to put pictures in here of it. But so she goes and she walks over there with her friends. And as she's walking over there, she tells them that she has a secret, that she's going to be meeting a man and helping him pick out a gift for her mom. And her friends are like, what do you mean? And she's like, yeah, my mom's getting a promotion. And this guy that works with her has been calling the house, for the last couple of days. And he's asking me if I'll meet him to help pick my mom out a gift because, he says that only I can get her the right gift because I'm so close with her and stuff, and it's going to be perfect. And I'm so excited. So they didn't really think anything of it. They're like, okay, well, she's just meeting a grown up, an adult person to get a gift for her mom. So they get to the plaza, and I don't know how Amy recognized the man or if the man recognized her or what, but her friends and a couple other witnesses said that they saw Amy talking to a white male between the age of like 25 to 35. He was wearing glasses, and he like put his hand on her shoulder and kind of like led her to the parking lot, I'm assuming to his car. And all the witnesses said that Amy didn't look uncomfortable or anything like that. So I don't know how long she had been talking to this man. Like nobody knows. And phone records back then only showed like long distance calls on the records. So obviously he was local, you know what I mean? But who knows how long he was talking to her, and gaining her trust and stuff. And of course she's going to trust this guy because hello, he works with her mom, Well, I'm sure that was a lie, but to hearing that as a kid, like it's automatic safety. Like anything that pairs with your mom, like ding, 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 it just registers as safe. If he knows my mom, he must be safe. If he works at the same place that my mom does, he must be okay. He wants to buy my mom a gift, he says that only I can get her the right gift because I know her so well, I feel so bad because like he manipulated the shit out of her. And by now, Amy's brother Jason has made it home, and he has called Margaret at work, his mom, and said, hey mom, I'm here, but Amy's not here. And Margaret was like, it's okay. She told me that she had choir tryouts after school, so she wasn't going to be home right away. But if she's not home by such and such a time, just call me back and I'll come home or whatever. And he's like, okay. And then Margaret said around 3:30 that Amy actually ended up calling Margaret's office and telling her that she was home and she was fine. And Margaret said, okay, get a snack and I'll see you when I get home. And Amy was like, okay. And so I'm thinking that because Amy was already abducted by this point. So either the killer was like, is anybody going to be wondering where you're at? Is there anything that you normally do or anything like that? And then, maybe she was like, yeah, I usually call home. And he was like, okay, well, let's do that. Or what if like she told him like in prior phone calls or even that day, what if she told him like, I usually call my mom by now. She's going to start to worry or she's going to be like looking for me or whatever. And then he was like, okay, well, let's call her real fast, because how else would she have been able to remain calm during that phone call? You know what I mean? She's 10 years old. I don't give a shit if the guy was like, hey, if you say that I have you, like I'm going to kill you right now or I'm going to kill your mom. I don't think that they would give a shit, to be honest with you. I would be like, yeah, you know what? I can't hold my composure. Like, mom, I'm buzzing. Somebody took me. I just don't think that she would have been able to do that unless she was like a world-class actress as well. So I think that he, tricked her, gave her a false sense of security. Also, because I need to jump to this real quick. In her autopsy, they found food in her stomach from like artificial chicken of some sort. So they were thinking like a Chinese restaurant, but I'm thinking like McDonald's, okay? Because, kids at that age loved freaking chicken nuggets. I know I did anyway. Now, sadly, I don't know what happened after Amy made that call to her mom. I just know that when Margaret got home from work around like 4:30 or 5 and Amy was not there, she started freaking out. She started calling friends. She started calling neighbors. She started calling all around. And Amy's dad, Mark, he worked for GM, and he was actually on the road that day. He wasn't like out of town, but he was just on the road. So, and they didn't have cell phones back then. So he didn't know anything that was happening. And by the time time he got home at 6 p.m. that night, the police were already at their house. Like, Margaret was on it. She had already called them and everything. And they immediately started searching, nearby places. And I mean, like, neighbors came together, like a huge search ensued, especially that night. There were like hundreds of volunteers and stuff out there looking for Amy. And, the police must have talked to Amy's friends that she went to the plaza with, and they must have been like, she was telling us that she was meeting some man that said that he wanted to buy a gift for her mom. And I don't know if the police department then started checking like other cities to see if anybody else had gotten any calls like that or what, or if they had already known about calls like that, because they like immediately called the FBI. Like, they immediately got the FBI involved. Like, this is not just like a little girl who is off on her own little adventure. Like, we think she's kidnapped because of the luring thing. And I also read that morning at school, like, a police officer had went to the school to talk to them about stranger danger and not to talk to strangers. So I'm wondering if they had already heard of stuff like this happening, because like once they started checking into it, I guess like North Ridgeville and North Olmsted had also got calls like that. And those cities don't touch Bay Village, so they're like kind of further out. So, which is interesting to me actually, because Avon Lake, Avon, Rocky River, those cities touch Bay Village. So I wonder why the guy wouldn't call like those places unless he was from like someplace else and not actually from Bay Village. Like, I don't know. I just thought of that. At first I thought, well, the person that took Amy must have known the family somehow, or must know her mother Margaret somehow, or been around them in some way, shape, or form, because Margaret was, actually getting a promotion. But it was more of like a title change. So was it a coincidence? Did this kidnapper cast out a really big net and just like throw random shit out there to see what kid would bite? Because at first I was thinking, like I said, like they have to know him. But then if the police were saying that there was like calls being made to other girls about different things, like their birthday, like buying their mom a birthday gift or a surprise gift or whatever, like if they were different, then maybe, like I said, the kidnapper was just like calling people and just throwing random shit out, like, oh, it's your mom's birthday. And the kid was like, oh yeah, not my mom's birthday, you're wrong. Or your mom's getting a promotion. And the kid was like, what, my mom doesn't have a job, or whatever, you know what I mean? Until he finally found someone that was like, oh my God, wow, she is? That's awesome. You know what I mean? Or maybe the kidnapper actually did know the mom, which I'm going to get into in a little bit. So back to the police calling the FBI. So the FBI gets involved, but still nothing. I mean, there's no trace of her. There's nothing. They search for months and months. They actually don't find Amy's body until February 1990. So, months and months and months later, they find Amy's body in a rural city called Ashland. And it was like they found her on like a country road, like 15 feet from the road. And actually a woman that was jogging on that road saw her and called it in. And about 300 yards, which is 3 football fields away from Amy's body, the police also found an ugly fucking living room curtain that's like olive pukey pea green and looks like it's homemade. Like the police actually think that it's homemade because of the material, and the stitching up top is like sideways or crooked or something like that. I was even thinking like maybe because they're so fucking ugly, maybe they're like from a fucking hole in the wall hotel or something, right? And they think that the kidnapper or killer wrapped her body in this, right? So then I'm like, well, maybe it's from a hotel. But then I'm like, no, why would he take the curtain off the front window to wrap her body in? Like, why wouldn't he take like the bedspread or something like that? So then I'm like, okay, probably not from a hotel. So that means that these items were the killers from their house. Like, these were things from their house. This ugly ass fucking homemade living room curtain and this ugly ass fucking blanket that's like the same fucking color. They're found like I said, like 300 yards from Amy's body, and the police are like, oh, we don't really know if this is connected, so we're just gonna hang on to this for years and years and years. And, they never told the public about it or anything like that. They didn't tell the public about it until 2016, when they were actually able to get DNA testing done on some of the hairs that they found on it. And it came back to be Jake, the Mihaljevic's family dog, Jake. It was his hair and Amy's hair on the shower curtain, not the shower curtain, but the living room curtain. So then the police showed it to the public, like, oh, we need help identifying this. And I'm like, bro, like, this happened 26 fucking years ago, and you're just now asking the public whose fucking Grandma Mildred stitched together this ugly fucking curtain. Like, seriously, Grandma Mildred's probably dead by now, so she can't even identify the curtain. But I believe that the curtain is like the major thing to this, because how does nobody know what this fucking, like, whoever owned this curtain or knows who owned this curtain would know once they saw this curtain, which I'm putting the pictures in here. They would be like, oh, I know exactly who had that ugly ass fucking curtain. Oh, and I don't know, they're missing the other one. You know what I mean? It was only one. Where's the other one? I don't know. Maybe they had them in a closet and that's why he used it. Maybe nobody ever fucking used them. If they didn't, I can see why. And, the killer just grabbed it out of the closet or whatever and wrapped her in it. What they didn't find with Amy was her turquoise horsehead earrings. They never found those. They never found, Amy had a denim book bag, and inside of it she had a black leather binder that her dad had given her from his job. So, it's like a leather journal or whatever that big corporations give out to their employees, right? I'm sure people have heard of them and seen them. And they also never found her black ankle boots that had like metal studs on them. And Amy was found with her clothes on, but certain underclothing was found inside out, suggesting that it had been put back on. So suggesting that the killer also SA'd her beforehand, and then, I don't know, either he put her clothes back on or she put her clothes back on. I'm not really sure, but that's how they found her. And the autopsy revealed, like I said, that she had eaten, and her cause of death was blunt force trauma to the head, and he had also stabbed her multiple times on the left-hand side of her neck. So that is what she died from. So this poor little girl, thinking that she's going to help pick out a fucking gift for her mom, gets murdered. Can you even imagine the fear and the terror of her coming to turn, finally realizing, like, this man is not trying to help my mom. This man wants to hurt me, and there's nothing I can do about it. I already called my mom and told her I was fine. Nobody's looking for me right now. After they found Amy's body, the police, after they got the autopsy results, they checked all the, restaurants, all the fast food places that would be along the way, to Ashland, where they found Amy's body. And nobody remembers, seeing a man with a little girl go through the drive-thru or come in or go in the restaurant or anything like that. And it's really hard because there were really no surveillance cameras back then at all. So people could just get away with anything, man. Seriously, you could just like kidnap a whole kid and just like get her food and everything, and then kill her and then just throw her on the side of the fucking road. Man, right? You try to do that today, and you'll be snatched up as soon as you pull into McDonald's. They're going to have you on CTV and ABC and NBC and whatever else. Like, you can't do that stuff these days. I mean, I have to say, in most ways, the cops were on it with this case. I mean, they had over 25 suspects or persons of interest or whatever. They took over 250 DNA samples that they still have on file that they cross-check anytime they get new evidence. You know what I mean? So they were on it. Two of the main people of interest, I guess, really stood out to me. So that's who I'm going to tell you guys about today. And the first one I'm going to tell you about, his name was Dean Runkle, and he was a science teacher at Amherst Middle School. And Amherst is maybe like 27 minutes away from Bay Village or so not that far. And Dean also had a bunch of pets in his classroom. And he was also a volunteer at the, guess where, Lake Erie Nature and Science Center that I was telling you guys about earlier. So he was a volunteer there. And, it said that Amy and also the girls that were getting the other phone calls from the man may have signed into some type of logbook at the Science Center. But mysteriously, this logbook went missing shortly after the murder. And who would have had access to move something like that? Dean Runkle. He also lived in Ashland by where her body was found. And, he did provide DNA and stuff and everything like that, but they don't have the DNA from the person that did this to Amy. So they don't have anything to cross reference it with. Like, that's what they've been trying to do, is get the DNA off of the curtain and the blanket to build a profile to see whose DNA it is. Okay. So they couldn't back then. So currently, I believe Dean Runkle took off in the 2000s and became some type of bum in Florida. Last I heard, he was living in Florida and he was a bum, but he was a person of interest for a very long time. And I'm pretty sure still remains in their database or whatever. And then the other person of interest is William McClellan. And he didn't come up as a person of interest until 2019, when his ex-girlfriend called in and said that the night that Amy went missing, that her boyfriend at the time, William, was acting strange and did not come home, and even called her that night and asked her if she had seen anything on the news about a little girl missing from Bay Village. But the ex-girlfriend said that when he had called her, that it was not even out on the news yet. They had not even said anything about it yet. So how did he know? And he also got picked out of a lineup by two of the witnesses that said that they saw Amy talking to a man. And he also failed a polygraph test. And he also said that he may or may not have met Amy's mother, Margaret, at a bar sometime or another. He also said he may or may not have talked to Amy on the phone. Amy may or may not have been in his car. And the police may or may not find his DNA on, the curtain or the blanket, but only if it was planted, he said. Now, I don't know if he made these statements after being interrogated for a long time, because I heard it was 2 days or over a course of 2 days or what. And he was just saying yeah, I guess it's possible. Maybe I met her, because I guess Amy's mom, Margaret, had a problem with drinking, and she actually passed away in 2001 from alcoholism. So I don't know if it was exacerbated by Amy's disappearance, you know what I mean? Or if she always had a problem with drinking. I mean, I'm sure it got worse after Amy's disappearance. How could it not? But let's just say that she was at a bar one night and this William McClellan, was in there, and he sat down next to her and was talking to her, and she's drinking, and she's just telling him a bunch of information, yeah, I'm getting a promotion at work, blah, 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 and then telling her about her family and her kids and everything like that. And maybe they exchanged phone numbers. Maybe that's how he got the number. You know what I mean? Maybe it wasn't from the logbook that they said that the girls signed in on and put their address and phone numbers, or maybe just their phone numbers. I'm not sure, but it could have been either one of these guys. And both of them, okay, so they also found fibers on Amy's body or on her clothing, fibers from the inside upholstery or the carpeting in a car, like a Buick or an Oldsmobile, something from back in the day, a gold color or something like that. And both of those guys both drove cars that were similar to that. And William McClellan, his car was actually seen like driving in through the intersection by the shopping center, because like they had a policeman posted up days later, just because like a lot of times killers go back to the scene of the crime. So they had a cop staking out the area and they saw his car go through. Now it could have been maybe he was just, I don't know, he didn't live there. Or no, he did. He lived like a mile and a half down the road from where it happened. And I mean, so he could have been just driving by. Who knows? It's a really small town, so it's very possible. I don't want to just say that. So, but they did see his car going through there. And they also did say that they saw a car that matched his description in Ashland the day that that Amy's body was put on the side of the road. So this guy is sketchy AF. I'm going to tell you that much. Like, I don't trust him at all. Like, I got a bad feeling about William McClellan. And I think he was like 64 or whatever. I think when his ex-girlfriend called it in. So however old that makes him now, or he's somewhere around there. Don't quote me on that, but I know he's pretty old. I guess they don't have enough information on him. Or not information, but they don't have enough, like, enough to arrest him. They don't have enough to arrest him. It's just like circumstantial evidence or whatever. Okay, but hello, the Murdaugh case, circumstantial, no body, and he was convicted of it, but whatever. Hopefully like more advances are made in DNA and they can actually find who did it, because in 2025, like they thought they were going to have some kind of breakthrough because they found 3 male hairs on Amy's sweatpants, and they sent them off to a lab to get them tested for DNA. And it turns out, like, we just found this information out January 2026, that the DNA was like too degraded to build an actual profile. So that was such a freaking letdown. It's like, man, after all these years, we may actually have some answers, and it's like, nope, not enough DNA. But the Bay Village police are holding out hope that, with all the advancements that, DNA and stuff like that is making, that hopefully something will come out to where they're able to further test it. And like I said, the Bay Village Police Department, they're still accepting tips. So if anybody knows anything, if you can think of anything or remember that ugly ass fucking curtain, or know anybody that had an ugly ass fucking curtain, call the Bay Village Police Department. That number is 440-871-1234. Call them. It doesn't matter if you think it matters or not. You never know. So yeah, guys, that's where we're at now. Mark and Jason, Amy's brother, they still hold out hope to this day. They still hold out hope that somebody, knows something, comes forward, DNA gets better with testing, and they can finally get justice for poor Amy. Like, it's so terrible. And I feel so bad for her mom. Passed away before anything was, ever solved or anything like that. And it's just heartbreaking to me. But if you guys know anything, like I said, please call the police. And if you like this video, like, comment, and please subscribe. And I will talk to you guys later. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.